Alright guys, today we are stepping outside to do our long-term review of the Carbo Model X. We're going to go over a few extra things we didn't get to dive into in the in-depth review. Also touch on a few things that I liked and a few things that I didn't like. And we'll get to it right now. One of the first things that I always like to dive into is the safety features on a bike. One of the things we normally can't test during the in-depth review, it all takes place during one day, during the day, so you can see the bike is, it's hard for us to test out the night safety features on a bike. So first things first, let's jump into that and see how safe this bike is for riding at night. All right, so let's go ahead and turn this front light on here. And it is adjustable up here in the front. We can go up, we can go down over here. So that's pretty nice. And then as far as the light pattern goes, it is fairly tight. So if we lean this up just a little bit, we are getting a fairly tight light pattern. So even if we pop it up, we're getting some pretty good dispersion there, but it's definitely a very circular pattern going on here. And it is pretty bright, honestly. It goes all the way to that stop sign down there. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but that stop sign is about probably 100 yards away, and I'm able to see it clearly. I'm getting all sorts of reflection, even from the road signs across the way there. So this light is actually fairly bright. It's pretty small, it's pretty lightweight, and that's kind of sticking with the theme, but it's really able to pack a punch here, which is honestly pretty surprising given the size. So currently the way it comes, there is no backlight on here, but we do have that USB powered one that you can plug into the back. Adds a pretty cool feature. Would love to get my hands on one of those and see what those look like. So the other thing we're looking for when we're looking at nighttime safety is the sidewall reflection stripes. And so we'll go down here and we're getting a lot of reflection. And if we turn this up, something a little bit brighter, something like you might see from a headlight, I mean, it just glows. Even if we go up here and turn this front light off, and those things are glowing. So definitely have a lot of those really nice safety features as far as the reflection goes. And then that front light again surprised us with how many lumens it's actually able to put out. All in all, the bike checks a lot of boxes when it comes to nighttime safety, and a lot of those features that we see on this bike are things that we wish we could see on every bike. And let's dive into a few of the things that we love about this bike. First and foremost, as they say in the slogan, it is the world's lightest e-bike. Now, whether that is 100% factual or not, I cannot attest to, but I can tell you this bike is light. At 31 pounds feels like nothing, especially when compared to other e-bikes. Besides being light, this bike also is very portable. Now there are several features, some of the stuff that we didn't try out, such as you can use the stem to wheel the bike around, like a small little bicycle themed carriage, or you can fold it up down to its smallest dimensions. I'll have those on the screen here. And honestly, it pretty much fits anywhere. It will fit in a car, it will fit in my truck, it fit in a closet, fit under my desk. There's plenty of places that you will be able to store this bike if space is an issue for you. One of the things that we touched on in the in-depth review but didn't get to dive too deep into it is that through axle quick release design that Carbo utilizes in that front wheel there. I loved it for two reasons, mainly because it feels like it is super safe, super secure, and it is very intuitive, it is very user-friendly, and those are things that we love about bikes, especially when they're shipped to you and there's certain aspects where you have to put those together. A lot of people will put their bike together, and this is one of those things that is pretty much foolproof. If you have it going through the axle and you can see that it is secured on the other side, you can know that you are good to go. One of the things that we praised a lot about this bike, and we saw it earlier in the nighttime safety and in the in-depth review, was the fact that we have a lot of extra features on these tires that come standard with the bike. And they utilize Schwalbe's balloon-like technology, which is something that we need because there is no front or rear suspension on this bike. In making the world's lightest e-bike, there are some things that have to get thrown out and engineered around, and front and rear suspensions is one of those things. So having those tires with the balloon-like technology really adds to the comfortable ride here. And going back to the beginning of the video, we see that the sidewall reflective stripes on here work really, really well. If you have the front light on and there is a car in your vicinity, you will light up like a Christmas tree. And then also we have the puncture protection that is built in. The last thing that I'd like to touch on is the quality of this bike. I've seen some things online where people said, oh, it's just one of those bikes, it's just another one of those bikes, and this is not just another one of those bikes. I've ridden some of those bikes, and this is not that. So the quality here is awesome. They are using industry standard parts across the entire thing. The carbon fiber frame is awesome. We know that it's light, we know that carbon fiber is durable, so having that be in our frame to build a bike around is really cool. And as far as aesthetic quality, we can see that this bike looks slick. It's got that very minimalist design to it, which is really in line with all of Carbo's branding. It's very black and white, it's very simple, and this bike here is no exception to that whatsoever. And for the few things that I didn't like, let's pop over the bike and get a closer look. First thing is this seat here. Now the seat is this more like racer style. It's got this very streamlined design to it, and I'm a big fan of it aesthetically. Unfortunately for my butt, this did not work out quite well. So on some of the longer rides that I would take, I would notice a little bit of soreness, and that's really comes down to personal preference. So as long as you don't have the exact same butt as I do, which I feel like would be unlikely, then this might not be an issue for you. They also offer another saddle option here, and it's a little bit thicker, has a little bit more cushion to it. That might be something that might work better for me. We didn't have one of those to test out, but that is something that is available when you order this bike. The next thing that I would like to touch on is this front light. I don't know if you could tell, but when we were doing the nighttime safety test, I was surprised by how bright and how effective this light actually was. And that's because if you look at it, it's just this small little light, not a whole lot going on here, almost seems to be cheap in its appearance, and so I was surprised that it works so well. So the comment here is not about the quality of the light or how well it functions, it's just that this light looks like it doesn't fit on this bike. So it functions well, nothing wrong with that. It even surprised us there in the tests, but aesthetically we could have something that maybe fits in with the bike a little bit better. The next thing that I like to touch on is where the battery connects. My only concern here is that this does sit down quite a bit, and so it does have the opportunity to get snagged on something. Is that very likely, given the fact that it's hidden behind here, and we got this, and we got this? Probably not, but maybe from an engineering perspective, there might be a way for us to get something under here in a way where we're not having all this sticking out the bottom. I'm not sure if that's possible, but that's something that could be improved in future models. And although they get the job done, these Wellgo folding pedals seem like they could be upgraded in a few ways. Number one, similar to the light, it doesn't seem to fit the aesthetics of the bike. It is very sleek, minimalist, and then we've got these small but chunky folding pedals here. So in my opinion, it just doesn't pair well with the overall aesthetics of the bike. And then the second thing I noticed is that they are fairly small. I wish that maybe they were a little bit thinner this way and maybe a little bit wider this way, just to give us a little bit more real estate when we are pedaling around. All right, guys, that is going to cover it for our long-term review of the Carbo Model X. If you have any questions, please let us know down below, and we will catch you on the next one.